Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our virtual demo of the Contract Inventory Exploration tool. Today's agenda will cover how to locate the D2D website and the Contract Inventory Exploration tool dashboard, the difference between government and public access on both D2D, and how to use your OMB Max password. The Contract Inventory Exploration tool, its primary use cases, how you can drive your data analysis using established filters inside the tool. Important takeaways that we will emphasize, including PMA goals, functionality within the dashboard, and emphasis on funding agency data, how to export your data, and finally, a wrap-up session as well. Let's go ahead and proceed to the physical D2D website. Here it is. It's d2d.gsa.gov. You can run a quick search by category management in the search field here, which will render you a variety of different results. But the first one we're going to select is the government-wide category management category reports. And right here, you'll notice that there are two different icons expressed visually. One of them is for public category management dashboards, where another one is government-only reports. And one of the first things that we wanted to discuss was the difference between government and public access. One will allow you to take a look at the various data that exists on this tool without authentication, where the other one does require your OMB Max password to access the physical content. But today we'll go ahead and start with the public view. And you can see that there are a variety of tools offered here in the suite of options expressed visually. We're going to connect with the Contract Inventory Exploration tool. Here we are inside the tool itself. Notice that it is a Tableau built product. So we will have to drive the tool itself in order to render results. Right away, you'll notice that there are major areas of emphasis at the top of the screen. You can filter based on department or agency or office. A important note to emphasize is that the PMA goals aligned with category management do utilize funding agency information, although we know a lot of our federal colleagues want to see data rendered by contracting agency as well. And that's why you have both options on the left side. But within, again, you can choose specific agencies, and we'll just choose the first one, Army. And note that if you choose multiple agencies or all, that could produce slower results in providing you data. So for today's demonstration, we're going to choose one agency and hit apply, which is important. You don't want to skip that step because it will not produce you results if you skip this functionality. And beyond that, while we wait for it to produce results, you'll notice that we also have other important filters, including product service codes, North American industrial classification codes. You can get into level 1 category as well, so you can express the data based on just human capital or professional services, which is what I also want to show today. You can go by tier, so that's a part of the presidential management agenda, category management goals, as it relates to the BIC program, best in class, tier 2, tier 0, otherwise known as open market, for definitive contracts or purchasing orders. Important note of emphasis, it is not all that often that you will see a definitive or purchase order contracts that are considered tier 0, just because they're not part of our spend order management model, at least not commonly. Going further, you can also drive your data based off fiscal year, reference PID, and another important note, you can do it by contracting name as well. So if you wanted to go through the list that's available to you, you can do a quick search, or you can look up the specific contract vehicle by name in case you want to do a specific analytical report on a contract by name. Okay, going back over to the left, you'll note that we also have level 2 category. So by the professional services government-wide category, you'll note that as subcategories, you do have programs like the professional engineering services contract, the management and consultative contracts, the old FABS, Financial and Business Solutions vehicle, Schedule 520, all of which are listed underneath the professional services vehicle. Within, you'll also see that you've rendered information based off business tier, which is all something you can, in fact, filter. So if you want to see just best-in-class vehicles versus tier 2s, tier 0s, it's just a quick filter away. Notice within the data also, you will find multiple columns expressed in a tabular format, where in which if you want to see information as it relates to the derivative contracts, which is a very important point of emphasis we wanted to express to you today. If you want to look at information based off of the OASIS vehicle and ensure that all Army contracts, and that's the use case we're using today, all Army contracts that align with OASIS and IDC are also properly cataloged with its master contracts, which are the old FSS legacy vehicles, and also OASIS. If there are any inconsistencies in this data, if you find something that is not accurate, there are multiple ways in which this data could be corrected, one of which is an FPDS Direct, and another one is by submitting the required form to the PMO office in the government-wide category management PMO. But to move forward, again, if you find anything that is inaccurate, you can look at the data and know that anything that is expressed by IDC, whether or not it is expressed by the master PID that also has leading characters like GS, which also helps quickly translate the agency in which it corresponds with. If you can see that the derivative contract is OASIS and all of this looks accurate, there is nothing to be done, but it is an important note and an emphasis to point out here that all agencies are required to update their data. So we'll repeat that again in another way. If you find any inconsistencies in this data, it is of the responsibility of the federal agency that awarded the vehicle to ensure that the FPDS data is accurate. And we do have multiple methods to help you out in the event that you do find any inconsistencies in the data. Okay, so we've talked about the master PID, we've talked about the derivative contracts and why it's important. Ultimately, it all ties back to the type of PMA goals and the type of business tiers that are expressed in the report. And we can get a quick synopsis of what that includes here. If your agency has a specific BIC utilization goal assigned to its PMA, category management goal, note that if any of those derivative contracts are not accurate, it will not properly relay the data to the best-in-class vehicle that you awarded your contract to. So again, it is important that this information is accurate so that the business rules flow correctly and you get proper credit at the agency level for the business tier that's expressed on the top right. We do have tier 2s, which is a simple click away to filtering the data by the tier 2 level. And again, the tier 0 definitive contracts purchasing order, tier 1 small business. That's another important filter that a lot of people ask questions about because they want to make sure that their agency is getting the small business credit that they need, et cetera, et cetera. And another thing we wanted to point out is that Ability 1 is expressed here with its own filter. So you can globally filter the data by whether or not Ability 1 was utilized as a contract. And again, by reference PID or by contract name and by tier. So you can filter this data globally 3 or 4 different ways to get to very, very specific results within the dashboard. A common question we also receive is how often is the data updated? Just note that it is expressed by the timestamp that's at the top of the screen. If you want to know when it was last updated, the data set and timestamp is expressed thusly. It notes that it was of April 15th that this data was last updated. So again, if you have any questions about how current the data is, that's where you'll find that information. Another point of emphasis we wanted to show to you, if let's just say you get into a situation where you have overfiltered your dashboard, and that oftentimes happens, and you don't get results in the dashboard itself, you can hit the undo button at the bottom left of the screen, which will take it a step back. You can redo, which takes it a step forward. You can revert as well, which just puts the entire dashboard back into a default status, where in which we don't have any results at all. So let's just go back into the report and filter the data in a slightly different way than we did before for our final point of emphasis, which would be how to export our data. Okay. So there are multiple ways in which you can export your data, and we wanted to show you how. If you find that you have located all the information you want, that you need for your report, there are multiple ways to download the data itself. You can simply right-click inside any one of the fields expressed inside a column. Right-click, and then you'll find a version of download there. But you can also go to the bottom right of the screen and click download, where in which you can find different image files, PDF capabilities, cross-tab functionality, so that you can download this tabular format Tableau report into Excel. Note that this is grayed out at this current time because I haven't authenticated. One thing you will have to do in order to export this data is use your OMB Max password, username and password to authenticate into DDD so that you can extract the data. Okay. And that concludes our formal demonstration of the contract inventory exploration tool. We just wanted to emphasize once again what we covered today. And that was how to locate the DDD website and also find the contract inventory exploration tool dashboard. What the difference is between government and public access data is, and what you can do from a public perspective without even authenticating into the tool. You also got a demonstration of how you can drive analysis using the established filters. Important takeaways, including those presidential management agenda goals and the emphasis on funding agency data. But just note that you also have contracting office data as well, and how to export your data. And that concludes our demonstration for today. Thank you for joining us.